Greetings, everybody. It's me, Robert Phoenix, and we are back again for another day in the realm. Or if you are in another part of the realm, it is currently your evening, or perhaps you're asleep and you have insomnia. And it's like, I'll listen to that Robert Phoenix guy for a few minutes. Maybe he'll help put me back to sleep. And that would be my nocturnal gift to you. So anyway, how is everyone? I hope we're having a meaningful experience with our time here. We had a happy birthday. We had a birthday yesterday that I missed. Magdalene, I think it's Magdalene Deleuze. Magdalene, I have a birthday song for you at the end of the forecast. So, I'm sorry, the forecast, Astro Weather. So, if you are watching, um, just wait. And if you're not watching, come back and you'll see it. It's one that's been specifically curated just for you. Uh, we do have a link for 15 minutes, and that is in the show notes. And you can follow up on the conversation. We'll be talking about the red heifer that's about to meet its demise on the 10th of April, and what the implications of the slaughter of the red heifer means to a certain group of people and to the rest of us. So we'll get into red heifer territory and more over on 15 minutes. Link in the show notes. Also, don't forget to hit the thumbs up and like button. Subscribe if you haven't. And if you feel so inclined, you are welcome to buy me a cup of coffee, which I am now currently out of. But today was the first day that I used the reusable K cup. My mother was a Keurig person, so she bestowed her Keurig machine onto me, and I don't like using those pods. So I have my own like metal K cup. So it was a pretty good shot for the K cup. Orlando, hope you're feeling better, and you're back on the case. You and the kid, of course. Orlando, cup of coffee. Scream in the morning. Coffee with Scream. All right. Took care of the business. He took care of that business. I'm all about that business. All right. Let's throw this in there. Where the hell are we? Okay. Here we go. The Astro Weather. How did you guys deal with yesterday and that intense oppositional T square energy? How did you guys deal with that? I think that yesterday's 15 minutes was I think I kind of got into it. I think I poked the bear a little bit, and I didn't say anything salacious or hateful. I'm just noticing things and putting dots together. So if that's a crime, which in some cases and in some countries, that might be actually a crime. Truth is on the ropes here, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. But this is the beautiful thing about the universe. The more that they press down on it, the more that it comes out. When they didn't give a shit about people standing on a corner and, sign out, the sky is falling, or when they didn't press down on that, we had when people were not, let me put it this way, when people were not putting it out, it wasn't being pushed back on, right? So the minute people start to wake up and go, what the fuck is going on here in this place? Now, all of a sudden, we've got some pushback, right? So it's a very interesting dynamic. And the more that the force pushes back into truth, the more truth comes out. It's a beautiful thing. It's not always easy, but it's a beautiful thing. And it's just part of the dynamic of the universe. So pressure creates change. Pressure creates period, right? Pressure cooker. Throw some stuff in. By the way, does anybody still use their Instapot? The Instapot was a fucking thing. It was a thing. And I bet you I bet you go to any Goodwill and have your pick of Instapots for a really good price. But that's what they do, right? It's pressure, and the pressure cooks and creates something. Things go in one way and they come out another way. And hopefully they're delicious and better for you than maybe more delicious than when they went in. Okay, let's get into the weather. So we still have the Scorpio moon right there, and we are in second decan Scorpio moon, so it's a Pisces moon. And I would say there's a bit of indulgence today. This is an indulgent day. From a personal standpoint, we've got the moon opposite Jupiter, opposite Uranus. Right. So I think there's a bit of indulgence, especially in Pisces when uh, you know Scorpio is a sign that will unearth or dredge what's hidden beneath the surface. Pisces attaches the imagination to it. That's what Scorpio does. It dredges. It dredges what's hiding, what's lurking beneath the surface. And then Pisces paints the pictures in the mind's eye. So when we get into the this Piscean decan, uh, whatever's beneath the surface, your fears, your neuroses, whatever they are, right? In that decan, they become animated. That's what happens. Um, and so, depending on how you deal with the animation, there's a very good chance you'll want some kind of relief. And this is not a bad day for that because look at all the planets we have in Pisces. We have Mars in Pisces, Saturn in Pisces, Mercury in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces. Lots of Pisces, lots of remedy here. I think today's a creative day. It's a creative day. I don't know if some people journal, and today would be one of those good journal days, especially because we've got this Mercury Pluto square, and it feels like it's the how it's lined up is it's naturally cathartic. That you get into that Mercury Pluto square and you just get into your anger or frustration or whatever that is. And again, if you follow it through to its conclusion, there's some relief. So you get it out. You get it out. And the beautiful thing with this moon in Pisces is that it really flows. So I don't think there's any lack of imagination in the air today. It's just about getting started. And getting started can be difficult when you get into this moon Jupiter opposition because Jupiter can be a little lazy here, right? So don't stew in your own juices. As far as the big picture goes, we're in a money zone with the moon in Scorpio and opposing Jupiter and Uranus. This is one of those crypto days. This is a crypto day. And if you've been reaping the wild wind in the crypto world, congratulations. Because Bitcoin wasn't going to stay at 40 forever. And as they say, all boats rise. So today is one of those days that I wonder if we're going to get some news about the crypto world. exchanges or regulations. Today's one of those days where, with this opposition, it's ripe, absolutely ripe. Also, we have, when you get into the moon and we have moon dialogue, we also get into the housing market as well. And that's a whole other piece that is rapidly evolving, or in some cases, de evolving. I don't know if you guys have followed what's happened in Florida, but they're trying to stamp out these squatters' rights or squatters' laws. And it's a very interesting dynamic going on with this squatter stuff. BlackRock has purchased a shit ton of residential properties. And I don't know if all those residential properties are occupied. Right? So would it be interesting that a lot of this squatter stuff is coming up so that these states could make drastic changes in these laws and as a result protect BlackRock's unoccupied properties? I'm just trying to think outside the box a little bit here. And this, for some of you who are unaware of how these squatters' rights came about, it's a very interesting history. It goes back to the times where uh, there was this expansion westward, and a lot of the land was owned by very wealthy people who didn't live there. So you had, again, it was one of those things where the elites or the 1% or 0.5% or whatever owned huge amounts of land. Well, this is my land. Well, you're not doing anything with the damn land. So that's one of the reasons why these squatters' rights were enacted, so that these land barons couldn't just sit on the property without sitting on the property. It's an interesting little piece of American history. And then, of course, the overlay with that is the people who were living there originally, who got their land theoretically purchased by the people who weren't there, and that's a whole other part of the discussion. So it's interesting now because you have something very similar in a lot of ways. You have BlackRock owning all these homes. How many of them are unoccupied? I don't know. Surely they would like to protect their assets. So perhaps this is part of the Hegelian dialectic. In any case, security, homes, uh, assets, Bitcoin, digital money. Today is one of those days where people are looking at what to do, right, with that opposition. So personally, you're looking at what to do, but also top down, they're looking at what to do. So this is a top down decision making kind of day. We're Thursday. They usually dump the news on Friday. And by tomorrow, we'll have that moon in a closer opposition with Uranus. So the news is sudden, quick, sudden, always Friday news dump. In the meantime, there's great flow in the sky. And we have some really nice things going on with Venus and Pisces, sextiling Uranus. Really like this sextile. Really like this sextile. It's a great sextile for chance encounters. And pay attention to who you meet today. And it should be easy. Easy. This is the easy button. And it allows you to actually have connections and with people that are sort of outside the box or outside your box or outside your comfort zone or outside your zip code, but not in a bad way. Not in a bad way. Today is one of the days where we learn about each other and there's give and take, quid pro quo, as they like to say. So this is a fine, fine day for that. We still have Saturn coming in here and sextiling Jupiter. So theoretically, your dedication, your discipline and your effort pays off. You've been thinking about Saturn in Pisces, and there it is in the Cancerian decan. And this whole phrase, concept, idea, meme, philosophy, Christ is King, has all of a sudden emerged, out of the collective unconscious. And when I started to piece it together astrologically, it's like, well, Saturn's in Pisces. And Saturn is all about authority. It's all about authority. So it doesn't surprise me that this language, Christ is King, is coming up. We are in a very Christian phase right now. And I think Trump just announced that he's selling Bibles. Trump is selling Bibles for $60. And the Bible is, I don't know, the Lee Greenwood version of the Bible. I kid you not. Trump and Lee Greenwood have partnered together to sell Bibles. I just, whenever I think of that, I think of Paper Moon, where Ryan O'Neal and Tatum O'Neal were kind of this little flim-flam duo, and they drove around, and his thing was selling Bibles, but it was just a cover for their other cons. And I'm not saying that Trump is Ryan O'Neal and flim-flam, but it's just an interesting, and I get why Trump is doing this. He's trying to connect with the Christian right. And maybe just give the Bibles away. The guy's got enough money. He just scored big on a IPO on Truth Social. And just give the Bibles away. And Lee Greenwood, DJT. Not such a good choice. I guess, from a branding perspective, God bless the USA and the Lee Greenwood Bible. I guess it makes sense to some people. But anyway, that's a big message now, Saturn in Pisces, and Christ is King. And it's going to get bigger. It's going to get bigger. Just wait till Saturn and Neptune move together into Aries. You haven't seen anything yet. Okay, what else do we have? Venus sneaking up on Neptune. I just think there's, in as much as there's a lot of tension and strife in the air, and there's a conspiracy around every fucking corner, there's also some good feeling, right? We get this Venus-Neptune conjunction. And I would say, divinity starts at your doorstep, right? You have a choice. You have a choice to be an ambassador of the divine. You have a choice to do that. I don't think you have a responsibility to do it, but you have a choice to do it. And if you want to act and think like somebody who would be an ambassador for the Spirit of God, today is a great day, right? And what do those things mean? Well, you treat people as if you want to be treated yourself. It's not that hard, right? You practice the old namaste. The God in me recognizes and greets the God in you. And our world needs more of that, and not some fucking weird artificial colors of Benetton kind of thing. We just need more of it. And to that end, if we want to create a world that has more of those qualities, it starts and ends with us. We are the ones who are the gateways. We're the gateway to that experience. And then guess what? It comes back to us and recirculates. So I really like this Piscean phase we're in here. I wouldn't say it's the calm before the storm, because it's been pretty stormy. But you can find a port in the storm, and that port in the storm is you. And if you want to have the world, or live in the world, or live in a world that you want to reflect your values and your spirit, and the type of world that you want to live in, well, with all this Piscean energy, it's your opportunity to act on it and create that and have those kinds of connections with other people. A little kindness goes a long way. And our society has been, we're being bled, we're being bled from from the predatory system, and the kindness is being bled out of us. So we also have a lot of Aries energy in the air too. So sure, we have all this wonderful Piscean energy and the nice trine to the moon and nice sextile to Jupiter and think and grow rich. There you go. There's little Napoleon Hill coming in today. That said, we still have this Mercury coming in harder on a square with Pluto. And we're at the final degrees of Mercury in Aries. And I know a lot of people out there are thinking, thank God. I've been getting into some beefs. Just wait till Mercury goes into Taurus in those early degrees. It's intractable. So it doesn't mean that it negates everything that we've talked about. And that gets back to, telling people the truth, or, having to say things that are uncomfortable and unpopular. You get this with the Mercury Pluto square. And it's a real interesting balancing act, because it's very easy to get caught up in that kind of cadence in your life. I mean, one time I saw this episode of Dr. Phil a long time ago, and it was this woman who was addicted to anger. And she was, what was her physical profile? White, slightly overweight, sort of dishwater blonde hair, not terribly unkempt, but I wouldn't call her a supermodel, right? But her thing was she was angry all the time, and her husband was on the show, and he didn't like it, and so Dr. Phil dissected her anger. And one of the things that anger does, and I've talked about this before, is that when you're in a state of anger, man, everything gets really clear, really, really clear. Your fight or flight is on. You have you're hyper attenuated, hyper acute, right? Like there's just kind of more of you online when you're angry versus, oh, I'm just peaceful and blissed out and I'm gonna float away on a cloud. I mean, it's very, very different in terms of how we interface with reality, and I can understand why this person would get addicted to anger, because everything is on all the time, right? So this is one of the interesting kinds of dynamics here with the Mercury Pluto square, because there is some anger, there is some uh, wanting to push through and break through, break the glass and pull the alarm, right? I mean, that's, we have that. That's in abundance. But then we also have these other things going on here, which are way more chill. And so are the two mutually exclusive? No, they're not, actually. So one of the things that astrology reflects back to us is how we can navigate life, and how two things can be equally true, because that's what an integrated being would do. An integrated being would be able to move from a point where if they had to say something, they would say the thing that they need to say. They would deal with the repercussions, whatever those repercussions are. They would do it responsibly in their own, or accountably. We use the word accountably. They would do it accountably. And then if they needed to, they could shift back into a different state. The two are not mutually exclusive. And I've talked about this whole idea of individuation, where that's, as beings, that's where we need to be. We need to be able to phase shift into any position that is available to us, and to do so with a state of, you know, authenticity and authority. And we're not perfect. We'll make mistakes, and that's part of it, right? That's all part of it. It's part of the big spectrum. But that's, that's to me, this is what the game is all about. To be able to access who you are and be available across all this different spectra. It's not all love and light. It's not all doom and gloom. Not everybody is your brother and sister, right? And there are people in your life that you don't know that could be closer to you than your own brother and sister. And so we have to move through all of these things accordingly. And the integrated being can do that, can do that without a lot of drag on the system. All right. So it's a good day. And I would say it's a very good day. But again, if you have to break glass, pull the alarm, don't hesitate. Just remember, you don't have to stay there either. All right, let's talk about our star of the day, our True Hemp Science star of the day. And our True Hemp Science star of the day is, let me get my banner up. I actually have a little bit of a addition to our star of the day. A bit of a teaching tool, just to bring my point home. And it's a very interesting point, and it does relate back to astrology, obviously, and the person that we're about to talk about. But first, let me talk to you about True Hemp Science, which is the sponsor of this segment. And if you have any interest in CBD, and not just any CBD, but some of the best CBD on the internet, go to truehempscience.com and check out our friend Chris and his wonderful concoctions. It's all organically sourced, and it is just exquisitely processed. And there are CBD products to meet all your needs, both internally and externally. And all you got to do is spend $100 or more, type in 15MINS, and you will get a goodie bag. I had a prop today. I was going to bring it, but I didn't bring it. So tomorrow on the Friday forecast, I'll bring a couple props. In fact, maybe I don't know. I don't know if I'll stop by and get a goodie bag, but I'll bring some props, and you'll get to see what it looks like. And it's worth it, right? It just, you get these neat little things that come along with your order. Go, oh, let me try this. Let me try this. Let me try this. $150 more, get you free shipping, always a 30-day money-back guarantee. And you can go to truehempscience.com and arrange to speak with Chris, and he'll help you with all your CBD needs. Okay, let's get into our True Hemp Science star of the day. Today's True Hemp Science star of the day is, I usually get it on one image. It's Rick Barry. Rick Barry. And Rick Barry, it's funny, I just saw Rick last night on TV with Sai Satsis, who does Lockdown Warriors, and he's on there quite a bit. Rick turns 80 years old today. Am I right about that, Rick? Born in 1944. 1944. And he looks great. Rick is in great shape. He's actually coaching a team in Ice Cube's Big Three, which is a 3-on-3 basketball league. And there's a time when Rick Barry was also known as Prick Barry. And he kind of looks like a prick, doesn't he? And Rick is an interesting character. He was a great basketball player, tremendous basketball player. And Rick played by his own rules. He is an Aries, okay? He is unapologetic. And I'm going to play you a little clip here that's going to illustrate this. But look at his chart. He's Leo rising, and he has Jupiter here. It's kind of interesting with the Jupiter retrograde. Rick was drafted by the San Francisco Warriors, played for the Warriors, and then felt like he wasn't getting enough money. He's probably right. So what did he do? He jumped to the ABA, and the ABA had a team called the Oakland Oaks, and they played across the bay in Oakland. And Rick Barry's father-in-law, Bruce Hale, coached that team, and the owner of that team was Pat Boone. And then eventually Rick winds up coming back to the Warriors. I tell you that because of the Jupiter retrograde. When we get into retrogrades, we sometimes start off in one place, go to another place, come back, right? So he retrograded himself all the way back to Golden State, where in 1976, the Golden State Warriors won the NBA title with not a very good team, but they had Rick Barry. And Rick Barry was stellar during that year. And so, he's got a very high opinion of himself, even to this day. I like Rick. He's a very interesting character. He is not everybody's cup of tea. And he's such a smart guy, but he's one of these guys that doesn't give a shit, which is very Aries, right? This is why I'm talking about this. And Rick has wanted to coach a pro basketball team for a very long time. And he won't get it. He won't get the opportunity except for maybe the big three with Ice Cube. Because people don't like him. The other thing about Rick, which is really interesting, he's had a lot of kids. And of course, Leo rules kids. And 3 out of his 4 sons have all played professional basketball. His 4th son, which is with a different mother, is playing in a 3-on-3 team that's going to play in the Olympics, upcoming Olympics. So his youngest son is Canyon Berry. Of course, he has Scooter Berry, John Berry, Brett Berry. Brett probably being the best out of the bunch, won the slam dunk competition. So he's got progeny, right? He has Leo progeny, and lots of them, and they all play basketball. And you can see that Pluto is conjunct his ascendant, also retrograde. He's got that true node conjunct Pluto. Rick is intense, right? When you have a planet around the true node, that planet is part of the purpose. And Rick Barry only cared about one thing: winning. He didn't care about being popular. All he cared about was winning. So what do we have here? We've got that sun in Aries, right? It's very hard to get to know Rick Barry as well. What is sort of what you see in the court, and every now and then he'll let something fly, and people will go, "Whoa, where did that come from?" But he's able to channel his identity right into Pluto. He's got a Sun Pluto trine, and he has a Sun Jupiter trine. Like if you're an athlete, that's the kind of trine you're looking for. And Rick will go down as one of the 50 great basketball players of all time. And he's also, one of the things that's interesting about Rick is he was very unorthodox, and he was able to master the underhanded free throw shot, which nobody else did. He's got Neptune in the 3rd house. And I think that's where Rick kind of gets in trouble a little bit. He'll say certain things that will just, come out. And then impact his relationships, which is Libra. He has Mars in Cancer. What's interesting about him is that he's so performance oriented, but he's also prickly, right? He's got that kind of prickly Mars in Cancer. And, he's got that Mars Sun Square, which I have in my chart as well. I've got a Mars Sun Square as well. So people have Mars Sun Square are fighters. And what's interesting is that one of the big chapters in Rick's life revolves around somebody else named Rick, and it was Ricky Sobers. And the Warriors were playing the Phoenix Suns, and I think it was the final game, Game 7. And if the Warriors win the game, they would go on to play in the NBA championship for the 2nd year in a row. And early in the game, Ricky Sobers got into a fight with Rick Barry. And nobody on the Warriors came to Rick Barry's defense. Right? That's how kind of unlike Rick was. Rick would wear out his welcome. And what did he do? Like, they needed him to shoot and score. And all Rick Barry did for the rest of the game was pass the ball. Rick was pissed. There's your Mars and Cancer, right? He was truculent. And so Mars and Cancer can be very passive aggressive. So instead of, saying, fuck you, I'm going to take the team over and I'm going to shoot the shit out of the ball. No, he said, basically, I'm going to take my ball and go home because nobody on the team got my back. And teams were not always easy for him. Saturn in the 11th house, it limits friends, number one, and also creates tension amongst teammates, especially with the Mars-Saturn conjunction. There's a lot of tension there. And that's where we have one of the big squares with Rick. And he's got Venus in Pisces, which is interesting. And that's in the 8th house. 9th house sun, right? Rick's philosophical. I'm sorry. The sun is not in the 8th house. My bad. 9th house sun. So he's philosophical, very philosophical. And he's also got a sense of adventure about him as well. I like Rick Barry. He was being asked by Cy about, well, what do you think? Who do you think is going to win tomorrow night? He says, I don't know. It's the NBA. You never know who's going to win. You never know what's going to happen. You just got to show up and play the game. Show up and play the game. And that, to me, it typifies the Aries kind of, let's be in the moment. Let's not worry about the relationships. Let's not worry about anything else. Let's just play the fucking game. Right? And you get that with Rick. You definitely get him. You get that with Rick. There was something else about Barry. What was it? Oh, yeah. And he, last night on the show, he talked about how he actually enjoyed playing on the road. And you can see that with Mercury and the sun in the night. By the way, Barry is, it's like, oh yeah, I was fishing in the Amazon. Great. Had a great time. I mean, he does shit like that. This is not a guy who's idle. He's active. If you saw him, like, even at 80, the guy could fucking probably outwork half of us. But we talked about being on the road. He said, I like being on the road. I like playing on the road. There weren't any distractions. You didn't have to deal with family and your friends and all these tickets. And, it was great. Just show up and play. And then he said something that was really interesting. He said, and I always enjoyed when I was able to do something on the court and make the crowd go quiet. Like, that's the competitor, Rick Barry. All right, I'm going to give you a little bonus coverage here. And this gets to the spirit of Pisces. Let me see if I can find this thing. Okay. So I'm sorry, Aries, the spirit of Aries. And I'm going to try not to play too much of this. All right, so this is Bill Simmons and Malcolm Gladwell. And Malcolm Gladwell, you guys know, he wrote Blank. He wrote the book about outliers. He's a very interesting thinker, although I think he's woke. But I like some of the stuff he talks about. I'm just going to play a little clip here about what he says about Rick Barry and how it relates to the sign of Aries. All right, so here's Gladwell, and he talks about the 5 ingredients, the 5 psychological types. I'm going to let him go through those types, and then we're going to get to the Barry part. So here we go. Little bonus coverage today.
One reason. Well, I love Rick Barry for many reasons. He is the most perfectly atypical superstar. So I have a long, complicated psychological theory about superstars, and he is the like I said, the most perfectly atypical one. He doesn't fit the mold of what we normally think a sports superstar is supposed to be, and that's his fundamental problem. He is a square peg in a round hole.
So does he not fit that mold because his personality turned people off because of the way he looked, because people didn't appreciate, what was it?
It's a personality. Do you want to hear the full theory? I'll give you the full theory.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So there are psychologists divide human personality into 5 dimensions: neuroticism, extroversion, openness to experience, conscientiousness, and agreeableness. So 2 of those don't matter for this purposes of this. Neuroticism doesn't. You can be a great basketball player and be neurotic. Paul George, clearly high in neuroticism, and you can be one who's low in neuroticism. Magic Johnson, right? Magic Johnson's not neurotic. He doesn't go home and worry about what went on the basketball court. Extroversion, introversion is useful, but not. You can be a star and be introverted. I mean, look at Kawhi, right? Classic introvert. Same with Ray Allen, introvert.
Yeah.
These guys didn't matter. The crucial personality traits for basketball stars are openness to experience, and that's basically creativity, conscientiousness, and agreeableness. So openness to experience is exactly what it sounds like. How willing are you to learn, to experiment, to try different things, to kind of express to explore every possible variation. Whenever we look at great performers in any field, they are high in openness to experience. They're creative, right? Every entrepreneur is high in openness to experience. Conscientiousness is exactly what it is. Sounds like, do you show up? Do you do the work? You cannot be a basketball superstar unless you are conscientious. And you cannot be an entrepreneur unless you're conscientious. Every entrepreneur and every basketball superstar is some combination of conscientious and open to experience. Now, the third one is the crucial one, though, and that's agreeableness, disagreeableness. And this is the personality dimension that measures your willingness, how much you care about getting on with others. How much do you crave the approval of your peers? How much does being part of a team where you're beloved matter to you? Entrepreneurs are, by definition, successful ones, low in agreeableness. They are disagreeable people. The whole reason why Elon Musk is able to build what he builds is he doesn't give a shit about what anyone thinks, right? If he cared about what people thought, he would never have started Tesla because everyone told him he was crazy, right? Down the line, great entrepreneurs are always disagreeable. That's what allows them to try the thing that everyone else thinks is crazy. Basketball superstars, on the other hand, tend to be highly agreeable, right? The thing that makes them work on a team is they desperately care about what their teammates think of them. They do things to win the approval of their. Think about the lengths to which someone like Magic Johnson goes to make sure that he's beloved because he understands that translates on the court. You wrote your entire book, the book of basketball, about this intangible dimension that separates great teams and great players from others. A lot of that was about agreeableness, the ability to function in a team environment. So basketball superstars are high in conscientiousness, high in openness to experience, and high in agreeableness, except for Rick Barry. He is one of the only he is the only basketball superstar I can think of who has the personality dimensions of a great entrepreneur. He's low in agreeableness. He doesn't care. He would always claim he cared, but the truth is, he pursued greatness on the court in complete contradiction or while being completely oblivious to the effect it had on team chemistry, right? It's because he's disagreeable. Didn't care about that ultimately.
So I'm playing that because in a lot of ways, it typifies Aries energy. Libra is agreeable. Libra say, hey, do you like this? Yeah, I like this. Well, I like this too. We agree upon that? Yeah, let's go. Let's go do that. And Rick Barry, being an Aries, he's not like that. He's just not like that. And it's so funny that Malcolm Gladwell brought up this point about being an entrepreneur. Again, I'm watching this little interview last night with Barry, and there's this online counseling service It's like you can sign up for it. It's all about mental health, and it's a sponsor to the Size show, and he has to talk about it. And Rick says, "Oh, that's really great. That's really great." And I'm working with some neurosurgeons who are doing something like that, but even better. And it's called Core. And I thought to myself, okay, Cy just hit that spot, right? He just ran that spot, and it's a sponsor of the show. And Rick says, yeah, that's a really great thing. You don't have to go to somebody's office. They can just pop into your living room. It's great. And I'm working with somebody who's doing something like that and better, right? That is Rick Barry in a nutshell. He didn't say, oh, yeah, that's a great service. And I'm working with, this other company with, neuroscientists, and it's really good. And I can't wait to, have them roll that version out. No, Rick says his is better, right? On Size show with Size sponsor. That is the definition of disagreeableness. And Rick, he's not even processing that, right? He's not, that's just the way he's wired. And that is an Aries component. It's Aries in action. It's interesting. Today's also the birthday of Jerry Sloan, who's a basketball player. And he was a lot like Rick. He was a lot like Rick. And Jerry Sloan was a tough son of a bitch. You didn't want to play against Jerry Sloan. He was a hard-nosed player, right? And Jerry Sloan played basketball like it was boxing. I mean, he didn't hit you, but, when you played against him, you knew you played against him. I mean, basketball is a contact sport, and Jerry Sloan was built like a defensive back. So there's something about this day, right? The 28th, you get that one vibration, which typifies Aries. So today's a very Aries day. All right, we got a little birthday tune for Magdalena DeLuz, I believe. She left a little thing on comments yesterday. So let me do this quick little happy birthday. Whoop. And I mean quick. We're going quick. Here we go. Magdalena, and for everybody today, if it's your birthday, this one's for you.
Your birthday, happy birthday. It is your birthday, it is your birthday, it is your birthday, happy birthday. Your birthday, happy birthday. It is your birthday, it is your birthday, it is your birthday, happy birthday.
I think that guy is living a pretty good life. That guy's made life choices that he's not regretting. I can tell you that right now. All right. Thanks for being here. Come join us over on the 15-minute side. Let's see what we got here. Link is in the show notes. Take good care, everybody. Much love. God bless. Have an absolutely wonderful day or evening. We'll be back here tomorrow, Friday for our cast. And that's it. Bye for now.